and I think everyone will uh, get benefit out of Project Pro because they're actually trying to solve that end-to-end problem, which starts from the architecture. If they want to call them as an expert on one particular technology or one particular platform, then they have to minimum they should do 30 to 40 projects. That's a minimum thing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to an expert podcast session of Project Pro. Today, we have with us Mr. Balram Singh. Balram works as a senior Azure data architect with Microsoft. Balram, it's a pleasure to have you on board today with us for this podcast. Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Pragya. It's my honor to be with Project Pro.
Balram, you've been with Project Pro for quite some time now. And as we start this podcast, I want you to tell our viewers about what your current role exactly is and what your focus areas are.
Yeah, so my role currently is basically Azure data architect, mostly on the cloud side. So, and our current focus areas are basically building new data warehouses using the Azure cloud data platforms, and also we also focus on providing solutions using all the Azure data cloud platforms. So namely, some of the solutions that we built are using the Azure Databricks, Azure Synapse Analytics, which includes obviously the Azure storage, Azure ETL pipeline, which is a from the Azure Data Factory, and some other data solutions.
Got it. Uh, Balram, you're a very experienced data engineering leader now, and you have been with Microsoft itself for almost 7 years now. Prior to this, you were with Tata Consultancy for roughly 11, 12 years.
Yes.
So, could you throw some light on your journey to becoming a data engineering leader?
Yeah, I think I did not become data engineering leader without any experience, right? So uh, the way it got started, my whole journey was around backend side. So when I started working with TCS, all my projects were related to backend. So basically, I started working with the SQL Server as a database developer. Then went on to work on the business intelligence, project. So SQL Server has its own stack of BI tools like the SQL Server Integration Services, the SQL Server Reporting Service, SQL Server Analysis Service. I think I worked in those areas for a couple of years, and that's why my interest towards data has taken a stand on to go and do something more on data space. Okay, that's how I actually started my journey on the data side, and then slowly I moved towards building the enterprise data platform. So and also I did a couple of projects on the data governance side. So basically, which is the MDM, the Master Data Management Project. So all these aspects led me to become an expert on data side, and slowly I moved to the cloud world. So like everything whatever I was doing on the on premise, it just transformed into the cloud world.
Got it. Got it. So, one after the other, your projects just kept on adding up, and this is where it has brought you today.
Yes, correct. And it was also my interest. Like I never wanted to work on the front end side because I was more accustomed to understand and love data. Right. I used to do data analysis in Excels, then in the SQL Server tools. So SQL Server has many tools. Like they have data import export wizards. They have the tools where you can actually analyze how much data is getting processed. What is the performance of the queries, how the data is getting picked up by your front end tools. They have profiler tools. So all that interested me, and that's how why I intentionally started picking up data projects, even
Mm-hmm.
though I was part of the consulting for consulting services, right? I
Yeah.
picked up data projects, and that's how my journey towards data actually picked up, and I actually became a data leader in that space.
Got it. Got it. So, Balram, throughout your journey, what has been your philosophy on the practical approach to learning?
Yeah. Uh, my my approach was to learn at least one particular skill in 6 months, which will add up to my data engineering and data science technology, right?
Okay.
Like for example, every year I used to have a goal of learning a new skill. Like since we're talking about the cloud world,
Mm-hmm.
every year I used to learn about a new technology, like let it be the Azure Data Factory, like new performance improvements that Microsoft has released in that. Then
Mm-hmm.
in the Azure storage world, there are like many new concepts that Microsoft is releasing. Now recently Microsoft has released the Azure Synapse Analytics, right, which is a
Mm-hmm.
culmination of multiple products in Microsoft world,
Okay.
in the Azure world, right? And now slowly Microsoft is also launching the. Oh, they have launched the Azure Databricks, right? In collaboration with Databricks. So I have decided to learn new technologies, every 6 months, and the way it helped is, there are multiple places you find information, right? You
Mm-hmm.
find some information in the blogs, you find some information in the YouTube videos, you find something in Udemy courses, or some Coursera courses, or some other courses, right? But I never found any video or any uh, blog which is going to help me solve a particular problem end to end. I never found that. So I had to, like, scrape through so many projects, scrape through so many websites and videos. I used to gather all the information, note down in a notepad or note down somewhere, or make a document of it, and then I used to do an end-to-end project. I think that's where I think Project Pro is really helping, and I think everyone will uh, get benefit out of Project Pro, because they're actually trying to solve that end-to-end problem, which starts from the architecture and then implementation, providing the source code, the videos, and everything. I never found this kind of initiative anywhere. And I think this is how I could have learned if it was launched years back.
Yeah, only had it been 20 years ago, also.
Yeah, and 20 years ago, I know, like, internet was not there, so yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I miss it. I
But
missed it.
no, I think what you said that you have made it a habit to pick up a new skill every 6 months and to nail
Yes.
it. I think it's a very, very tangible advice for our learners also. That because the technologies it keeps changing, you have to keep yourself updated. So it's very nice that you have set yourself a target of 6 months, that you need to keep learning some things. It's really nice.
Correct.
So I think there are a couple of questions which our users very often ask, and with what you've just answered, I want to correlate the two, one of those questions here. Our users very often ask us, why do I need 250 projects? I mean, our platform has roughly 250 plus projects, and they constantly keep asking, please give me just two or three, and that should be end of it. Here, you, with 18, 15 to 18 years of experience, you're saying that, you've set yourself a target to do this, to achieve that. And of course, it's not just theoretical. I mean, you want to keep implementing it also. So basically, you want to keep doing projects for the same thing. So what advice would you have for our learners who come to us and say that, why do I need 250 projects? Why can't I just get done with two or three projects?
No one can learn any new skill or any new technology where you want to become an expert with just 2 to 3 projects. They can just call them as a beginner if they just do three projects, right? If
Hmm.
they want to, call them as an expert on one particular technology or one particular what is it platform, then they have to minimum they should do 30 to 40 projects. That's a minimum thing.
That's the minimum number you advise.
Exactly. Yes. The reason being, there are many ways to do the same particular task.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can, like, I just throw an example. If you are working on a healthcare project, right? If you're trying to diagnose a patient's data, right? You can actually diagnose it through many angles, right? When you have the patient data with you, you can actually use the data, um, you know, um, and try to understand how the data has played over a period of time. Like healthcare hospitals or any healthcare clinics, they have data of particular patient from last 5 years, right? You have to study that whole 5 years of data, and to implement that whole 5 years of data, you have to actually implement so many things. Like you have to implement batch processing, you have to implement delta implementation, you have to implement data cleansing, data transformation, and all these things is not possible in just 2 or 3 projects. Right?
Correct.
If you want to call yourself a data engineer expert, you just cannot say I will be done with 2 or 3 projects. No, it's not possible.
Yeah, and here is an expert himself saying this, who is a constant learner as well.
Yes.
That to become an expert, you have to always keep learning. Understood. Now, Balram, one key part of Project Pro as a product is that we talk about the reusability of projects. Now, who do you think can reuse a project, and how much time something like this can save?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. See, many a times when I was working as a developer or a lead, I was actually looking for a quick solutions over
Hmm.
the internet, right? And definitely you will find quick solutions with just 1 or 2 liners only. You will not find the whole end-to-end solution there. You will just find only a part of the solution. You could just find one query. You could just find one task that could be helping me out of my 100 tasks,
Hmm.
right? But here in Project Pro, what I have seen is, there are like multiple projects that can be used as it is as a reusable components, and you can fit them into your existing projects that you're working on. Let it be a healthcare project, let it be an insurance domain, let it be a data domain.
Hmm.
I think these kind of components that Project Pro is building that can be reused across many projects, in the real world.
Got it. Yeah, super helpful. Now, my next question again comes from our customers. They want to ask our experts as to how your projects can help me get a job.
Yes. See, if they are a beginner or an intermediate, right? A beginner, intermediate, it's not possible to get a job easily.
Hmm.
You have to at least be between an intermediate and a expert.
Hmm.
Obviously, expert, you cannot become an expert in just 6 to 10 months, right? You at least need 2 to 3 years experience on that particular technology or platform to become an expert. So if you have learned a new skill, right,
Hmm.
and if you just learned a new skill by looking at some videos or by looking at some blogs, you're not going to become you're not going to get a job. You have to do that end-to-end project, and you should implement at least 2 to 3 projects by yourself. At least 2 to 3 projects by yourself. Like, look at the videos, but implement them practically after you have watched the either the YouTube videos or the Project Pro videos, whatever you have done. You have to implement some projects, and the project, when you're implementing such projects, you should also look at the different things that project is solving. Like, since I'm talking from data engineering perspective, you should see that these aspects are covered. Data cleansing is covered. Data ingestion is covered. Data cleansing is covered. Data transformation is covered. Then data standardization is covered. Data quality is covered. Then once you load, how is the performance of the overall project? Is it like performing better or not? And then once it's done, how can my users visualize it using my reporting tool? So all these end-to-end, if it is covered in your project, definitely there's definitely you can easily get a job.
Get end-to-end knowledge.
Yes, end-to-end, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. And how would you suggest a beginner to intermediate someone who is applying for a job? How should they highlight any particular projects in their CV or portfolio? What recommendations do you have for that?
Yeah, the only recommendation I would say is you have to have your foundations and the basics pretty strong.
Hmm.
So what like, since we also do interviews, what we have seen in the candidates, they just focus on the latest niche technology. Like, for example, they say I'm a data science guy,
Hmm.
right? But they don't even know the database concepts. They don't even know querying part. When you are not able to query, when you are not able to analyze data, how can you yourself how can you call yourself a data science expert? Data science is only about building a ML model, right? That's
Correct.
only 10% of all your end-to-end project.
Understood. And since you interview for a data engineering role also, what are the few key things you look for in a candidate whenever you're interviewing for a data engineering role?
Yeah. So I basically look up their foundations, right?
Hmm.
So for me, the foundation as a data engineer is nothing but your transact SQL queries, your transact SQL statements like DDL language, DML. How do you write queries? How do you write queries in a performant way, right? And then, is there any? Do you know the programming languages which are helping in database? Then your data modeling aspect. How do you actually model a database? You just cannot put everything in one table and say data model is ready. You have
Yeah.
to differentiate between a structured data versus unstructured data. You should
Hmm.
understand how can I build a data model versus by using this structured versus unstructured. You should
Hmm.
also understand a data warehousing concept, like what is my star schema, what is my snowflake schema, how can I build a relationship between fact and dimensions. These
Hmm.
are the basic things which I look for data engineering. Because that whatever tools you see in the market today, let it be the Azure tools or AWS or GCP, the basic fundamental are these only.
Yeah.
The tools are just a way for you to implement all the basic concepts that you have learned over the years.
Understood. So understand the fundamental concepts, get an
Yes,
idea of the tools, and implement everything end to end.
end to end, correct.
That is
Exactly,
when your knowledge will enhance and you will be also more confident when you interview for any role.
exactly. Then you'll not miss any questions, right?
Hmm.
If you do end to end, like starting from your data modeling up to the reporting aspect, if you
Hmm.
do everything, you will never miss any interview question.
That's right. That's correct. This was super helpful, Banram. With this question, I'll end this session. And thank you so much for giving some super tangible answers to the questions that our customers ask us, and some of your sharing your experience as well with us.
Yeah, thank you, Pragya. It was my honor to even come on to Project Pro and give advice to all the people who want to actually get a job into this field.
The honor is purely ours, Balram, but thank you for being so modest.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you.
much for
Thank
being
you,
with
Pragya.
us again.
Project Pro, the only solution for solved industrial grade projects.